Hey, what's up? I'm the normal playing guy, and hey, so today's video we have the new Prime Battle LR. Been out a few days, and it's going to be a while before anyone has one, right? Boy, the grind is real, and you got to do it twice to get to SA20 if you're doing it the legit way, the proper way, and of course, thrice if you're going to use SA25 at some point. But dude, don't do that. Just do it twice. Hell, just do it once. Okay, so what do we have? So, Doctor Wheelo, Christ, this is strongest of the universe film. It's quite old, but sure, it's interesting. I mean, is it well deserved? Probably, I'd say this is about right. I mean, Dr. Wheelo, he was the main boss, sure, but at the same time, I don't think he's truly a Dockenfest worthy. But maybe as a Prime Battle LR, because that way it can at least be an LR, is probably pretty decent, but I wouldn't go any further than this. It's probably well placed. But it's interesting and it's refreshing to get someone new. So let's have a look because he actually seems like he might do quite a decent amount for what he does. So we have an entrance animation, 4 key and 80,000 defense for 4 turns. By the way, all these numbers, it kind of basically just means 80%, 10%. When they eventually had the easy 8, it just changes. This is just like, I don't know why they keep doing this. So you have 4 key, 80,000 defense for 4 turns on the start of turn when there is another revenge ally on the character's turn. So it's on the team. So it just has to be on the team, not so much in the same turn. So that's pretty good. Otherwise, you start out with 3 key, 100,000. You start out with 3 key, 100,000 to stats. That might be the first time we've seen 100,000 as a number. This is getting ridiculous. So you're getting 180,000, which could equate to like, I don't know, 100. Is it going to be 180% or is it going to be like just 80%? So 180,000, 7 key for the for the first 4 turns. Pretty good. That seems impressive. You get an additional 3 key, 60,000 to stats against one enemy at the start of turn, and if that enemy's HP is 60% or more, you get an additional 60,000 attack and a 30% chance to crit. Jesus. An additional 2 key attack 40,000, defense 100,000, and a medium chance of guarding all attacks when facing 2 or more enemies. And then, of course, an additional 60,000 attack and crits when HP is 40% or less once only. Good God. So he has key built in, so honestly, super attacking isn't going to be an issue. What does he do? He raises defense for the turn and lowers attack. That's a 20% buff for a few turns, and that's a 30% raise. 18 key raises defense and attack and seals. I don't think it'd be too much of an issue to get to there. It's pretty interesting. So, like, what you're going to get 180,000, and you're going to get 7 key. But then you're going to get against one enemy, you have, depending on the HP, one enemy you get 120,000 extra attack, which basically doubles everything, and you get an additional 3 key, so that puts you to 10 key, and then you've got your 6 key from your stat, so that puts you to 16. So that you wouldn't need much to get your 18 for the seal. Let's have a look. So against 2 or more enemies, though, so you get an additional. So then it swaps out. So then you either get 2 key, only 40,000 attack, but your defense goes to 100,000 on top of. So that basically doubles your starting defense. You get an additional 2 key, so that's 5 on top of you. So you're auto super basically. And then, of course, you get the additional 80,000. So, you're still having a high amount of defense. Of course, you have a 30% chance to guard for 2 or more enemies. So he works out for Super Battle Road quite well. He could theoretically be a decent tank. It's hard to say what 200% teams or double 170s or whatever that this guy's going to have. Let's have a look. And then additional 60,000 attack. And then, so I mean, these numbers seem impressive, and they probably are. This is actually one of the harder hitting units. I have got a few of some of the other more recent Easy A's for Prime Battle LRs, or just in general Prime Battle LRs, and this is one of the more impressive ones. The chance to seal is pretty good. The lowers attack is applicable because it seems like he's built around the Super Battle Road, right? So that's actually not too bad. So in terms of like, I mean, like his stats as well are pretty great because he's rainbow because he's free to play. So nearly 16,000 in terms of defense, and honestly, a pretty respectable 19,500 attack. But honestly, we check out like the most recent Prime Battle LR, and that's TN. And the guys, let's have a look. The guy has similar attack, but nowhere near the defense. I mean, I mean, if you've seen what he does as well, I'm like his defense does actually hit the 103,000, which is pretty nutty. But you don't get the additional. I mean, you do get this with every attack performed, but you got to build up. There's no there's no extra. I mean, you do get 10 key for the start of turns for 10 turns. You do get extra key for the first 10 turns. That's fine, right? But again, you do build up a little bit. That's fine, and his super attack effect. I mean, there's no defense in this, and you actually sacrifice HP. So he's a pretty hard hitting unit. There's no doubt, fully built up. Krillin's one of them, right? This guy, I suppose, if you take it at base, he only had 30,000. He has additional, right? I mean, his super attack, nothing. I mean, he did stun, I suppose. He did raise attack and defense, but again, check out his stats. Slightly better, slightly less. Even after his easy A, you check out his easy A, right? What does he have? Let's see, translated to 160% defense. This guy's pretty good. And then, of course, one of the other favorites we have as well is Vegeta. You think as well we have nearly same amount of defense, comparable attack. But you think, like, what does this guy do? You know, didn't really 20,000 defense is absolutely nothing. Even after his easy A, he only got 70% defense. You get an additional when the HP is over 50%, but like I feel like this guy, he's just got more in him. I feel like all these numbers they must count. I mean, having the 80,000 with this, if you're against two or more enemies, you're getting this as well. I mean, actually, that would mean then you'd have 280,000 defense, which, I mean, I suppose at that point, numbers just don't lie. So, yeah. He seems pretty impressive. The only problem is, of course, with something like this, there is always a negative, and that is partly to do with his links. So he has Prodigies, Mechanical Menaces, Revival, Thirst for Conquest, Legendary Power, Shattering the Limit, and Scientist. Okay, so what's really helping him the most is Thirst for Conquest. Thirst for Conquest unlocks a lot of these. For example, his best partner is probably because he has a combination, or because he has the Key Link and Thirst for Conquest as well as Legendary Power. So that's his best one. So you are going to get 20% defense. You're also going to get 20% attack and a little bit of key. So it's not actually too bad. And then Legendary Power will throw out 15% as well. And then, of course, this guy. I'll go back to Bojack for a second. You got him on movie bosses, Resurrected and Terrifying Conquerors. Now, legitimately, you could run them on both of these, but you wouldn't run them on Terrifying Conquerors. As for this, Power of Wishes, you wouldn't run it. It's a super only team. Resurrected, sure. Terrifying Conquerors, I wouldn't know. Right? Both of these are free to play, but this guy's tournament only. Baby, I mean, I mean, the only thing going is the fact that you have Thirst for Conquest and Shattering the Limit. Yeah, okay, Revenge, legitimate chance for Revenge. That could be pretty good. But are you going to run him alongside Bobbity? Why? Well, pretty bizarre personally, but surprisingly is effective. Are you going to have him alongside him? Well, surprisingly, shares key links and prodigy, which is pretty nutty. But there's them. But this potpourri of units. I mean, there's some good ones in here. Like this guy, the Vegeta version is pretty solid. Bojack's great. This guy can be useful. She has her abilities. Like this guy in this particular form is okay. Like Golden Frieza's pretty beast, right? But again, it's just attack, right? It's I mean, you check out some of the other links like Mechanical Menaces. Now, theoretically, this sounds nice. 2 key and 5% damage reduction, right? On top of 280,000 stats. But, yeah, you've literally got to rock like Giru? No. Are you going to rock the pirate robot? Are you going to rock Aral Noramaki? No one has these. These are like a limited time event that came out. No one's got these. These are never released. Yeah, I mean, like 16. 16 is he even in the list? 16 isn't even in the top 25. So I legitimately don't know. What, you get Mechanical Menaces, but that'll be about it. And then, of course, you got the Scientist link. Now, slightly better, right? But you know what's pretty daft, right? That I suppose it makes sense as one of them's only a robot, but 19 and 20, the int, they're not on this. I suppose that kind of makes sense. But of course, like, are you going to rock it with Bulma? No. You'd only get Scientist. None of these would work out well. And in fact, LR Bulma wouldn't work out outside of just legendary power. You are just not going to rock it with every one of these. Some of these, one of these toys might be on Revenge or even Resurrected Warriors, but you're just not going to rock them. I mean, the defense seems nice, but it's just not worth it. So the problem is this guy suffers with these two links, right? The rest seem fine. Like Revival, you can legitimately get it with half of these people, so yes. So the question is, where does he fit? Well, there are a few somewhat pretty decent people on here, right? There are some pretty top end people he can assist. Like if you get these links up to max, like you've got high amount of attack. At level 10, we get 2 key in stats, and then of course we get 15%. So I mean, you also get 2 key here and a little bit of a HP recovery. So you can support some decent people. Baby will be due for his EZA at some point. Don't know when. Probably the next GT celebration. He'd be pretty bonkers. Golden Freezer gets a small support, mainly Bojack, and maybe this top row gets some support. This guy is okay in the right situation. I mean, like, the only problem is, like, we need more. Mechanical Menaces, you would have thought you'd have more considering you've got the androids and only these guys are in it. It's an old ass link. And then this, it is legitimately a waste. What's the point of putting this in? Because this unit isn't going to be legitimately used in that sense. It's just a waste. I can't really think of a team in a mind where this guy is going to be on it because, like, you think of the teams, um, yeah, he's not even on Earthlings, which might just be a bit of a weird one because at the end he might only be a robot, but he was still who cares? So, Power of Wishes, Movie Boss, Resurrected Warriors, Revenge, Battle of Wits, Terrifying Conquerors. I suppose, is it like Battle of Wits? Yeah, it's Battle of Wits is the only reason you could use stuff like Toa. But it's pretty cool that this guy has an LR. In that case, then there could be plenty of others that could probably swing for an LR. Hell, we could get something like Garlic Jr. could probably get a LR in there, right, from the movie Dead Zone. So there could be a few others in there. So there could be some good ones. But beside that, it's pretty neat, and I suppose it's something to do. It could be a while before I end up getting around to do a video, but yeah, ultimately, it's not going to be too bad. It's just I mean, it seems great, all these numbers, but as we've seen before, when the EZA, it just means nothing. Like, this would just mean 100%, this would mean 40%, etc., etc. Right? So, again, having 100,000, 80,000, 100,000 seems impressive, but often it ends up not being. But again, we'll soon see. But yeah, that's the new Prime Battle LR that has come out. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, and bye bye.